Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 44. Jennifer Denney, end of the year business reviews and planning. Are we doing it wrong? Before we dig into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast and give us a thumbs up or a like if we've earned it. Doing that will help us reach more people and deliver this valuable from the trenches lessons to those that can benefit. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. We are back today. We have Jennifer Denney back. This is her second time here.
Thank you for having me for a second time. I must have said something correct the first time. I don't know.
The content was so awesome. No, I always feel honored that people actually want to come back. Like I didn't scare you away or anything. But but Jennifer, she's the founder of Elevated Marketing Solutions, right?
Yep.
And an agency, and she does marketing stuff. You've been doing that for over 15 years.
Yeah, pretty close to 15 years in various different forms, but I really passionate about digital marketing, and I feel like I kind of got in when it first started. So I've been there since the beginning.
Yeah, back in the Wild Wild West days.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, things have changed a lot in the last 15 years.
They change daily.
Yeah, still changing.
Yeah.
Well, I got out of advertising and all that stuff, so I don't know what I do now. So we decided to.
I think I'll stay with advertising.
No, advertising is fun. I got burned out on it, and a
lot of people do because it's not easy.
yeah. I did it for almost 10 years. No, probably not 8 years nonstop, every day, daily, and Google beat me up, and said enough was enough.
They do. All the platforms, all the different strategies beat you up, but I'm the type of person that if I am not challenged, I don't do well.
Yeah, you like challenges and you like chaos. A little bit of chaos too.
I like challenges and chaos. I need to put things back together.
I like it too. I got into web design development because I'm kind of a nerd that way too. I like to build stuff, build websites. So it's more calming for me. So we chose a topic for today. This is what we're going to do. We'll do something very specific. We're not going to go all over the place today. Maybe we'll. Who knows?
There we go.
Who knows what? But we're going to talk about something. I've been mentioning it kind of off and on the last several weeks, or maybe month even, either on my podcast or somewhere. And I'm talking about. Usually, I think of November for some reason, but it seems like it's the time. And I think I got this from a company I worked for years ago, where they kind of did the same thing around this time of year, where it's okay. Let's look at where we're at, how we did this year. Think about the big, the big rocks. What is what we're doing working, whether that's on the marketing side or the team side, or the type of work we're doing for clients, all that stuff, and then analyzing all that, figuring out what's working, what's not working, and then, kind of planning next year. And what are we going to introduce? This year we were focused mostly on services. Next year, we're going to start building some products. So that is what's happening now with me. And you actually came up with this idea for the topic, and I'm like, that's perfect, because I've been talking about this. And then I'm a little afraid though, because I'm waiting for you to say, don't do it. But I love different perspectives. So I'm like, I want to hear what you have to say about that.
So I don't think what you're doing is wrong. I think it's very natural to come to the end of the year and, analyze what worked, what didn't work, and plan for the next year. I think that's great. But what I think people miss is you need to plan daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly.
Okay.
So reserving this thought process that I'm just going to do it at the end of the year and then forget about it for the rest of the year is really setting yourself up for failure.
So
And this is why I think it is.
so that's your point. It's not, it's great to emphasize, to do this, but don't forget to do the regular quarterly or weekly or day. I don't know if I plan daily. That sounds like a lot of work, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so the reason we need to do that is, and this came about in planning for the year is something we've done since the dawn of time.
Mm-hmm.
But things are moving way too fast for us to sit down and try to plan out and, know exactly what's going to happen in 2022. I think the last 2 years have really taught us that planning should be something that's more often. It's just you don't know what's going to come at you. And I think the other thing too is when we just plan for the end of the year, we are thinking about these big chunks of things that we want to accomplish. And we get overwhelmed by these big chunks because we don't break those down into quarterly things we're going to do, monthly things we're going to do, weekly, and just down to the task. And then we never accomplish them, and we're just overwhelmed by it because we only planned for a year. We didn't plan for all the dots in between.
That's true. And that's actually something I've been struggling with. So especially the last few weeks, because I've really been digging into it. I've had this product, but it's not just a product. Like I want to do something special. I want to do something that's like it's plugins, but it's other stuff. And I could just make a block plugin, but that's not everyone's making block plugins, right? So trying to I got all these ideas, but then I'm getting.
That's the good place to start, those ideas. But do you have the resources to actually implement them all?
Well, and that's the thing. So I'm for me, it's like, I'm like, well, the first quarter, the first part of next year, we'll just launch this. But then I start thinking about, and it also includes training and stuff too, right? So I start thinking about all the things that involves, and I'm like, okay, we're going to do this next year, but what are all the steps in between? Like, how am I going to get there? So I've been going back to, maybe we should just start with a blog plugin, just one thing, and then add this other piece, and then another piece, another piece, and do that over the year. And start.
So you're doing it right.
So I'm thinking about
doing it right,
but then I will fall back to no. Let's just do it all at once. It'll be a bigger splash.
Yeah, but if you don't break it down, then you started with these like big concepts of what you wanted to maybe accomplish for the year. And when you start to actually break it down, you start to see what's actually possible and what's not possible. And then you start to throw things out. If you had all these like big objectives and you didn't break them down, then you might feel like a failure at the end of the year because you weren't able to accomplish B, C, and D.
Yeah.
But you'll feel like a success because you broke down A and you broke down into the actual steps and really looked at how much time is this going to actually take to do it right. Yeah.
Well, definitely. And I think about minimal viable too, like get something out there, start getting feedback and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to think about it from that perspective and breaking it down. Because because like I said earlier, like big rocks. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Even on the marketing side. Now the marketing side, definitely I can see, because you're doing the marketing more. That's really moving fast. That could change from month to month, week to week, day to day.
Yeah,
right?
And maybe that's why I have that perspective. But I think even in the business world, we just don't know what's going to happen quarter over quarter. And so we could do all this planning for what we want to do for the entire year. And again, I'm not saying it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying we need to be flexible and loose with this might happen, that might happen. And so I'm going to have to change course.
Right. So it's kind of just this is a general goal, but we will have to just see how it happens day by day.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to see, but like not planning is not, it's like planning to fail. Like you should definitely make a plan, but don't forget to reevaluate it often. And, what did I get done? What did I not get done?
But
And I think,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think another important aspect, a lot of people, they want to think about what they're going to do, but make a list for what you're not going to do. Because you discovered this last year that you wasted time doing this, and that. That list is just as important.
Profound.
What are you not going to do this year?
Right. So what are you going to focus on?
Allocate your time.
Yeah. And what aren't you going to focus on? That's actually good. That's good perspective. I like that. I was just thinking, I had Dolan White, we've had him a few times, friend. I think we were talking about this, and I don't know why I remember this in one of our earlier episodes, talking about planning as well. But in the context of like 10 years, 5-10 years down the road, it's like you have no idea where you're going to be in 5-10 years. Just focus on, the next couple months, 6 months, year, maybe. And it kind of ties into this too.
Every time somebody wants me to write like a 5-year plan, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, right. Look at, again, just, this is my experience, this year for me, I couldn't have predicted what clients I got. I picked up a couple large maintenance contracts that I never could have predicted. I didn't know they were coming. They were referred to me. And I was focused, earlier in my agency, I was really focused more on, custom websites, building custom websites, designing and building custom websites. But this year, maintenance became almost our core thing.
Biggest.
And it just overtook everything just because it just organically happened. So if I had any plans last year about building websites, and that was it, they were scrapped.
That's all you knew at the time, right?
Yeah,
and then you saw something new and you're like, oh, well, had you planned that you were going to do just the website maintenance all year, you'd think you were a failure. But instead, you kind of took some of the things that came at you and be like, okay, adjust. Yeah. Now, how am I going to, for the rest of the year, try to get some more of these because they make sense?
What is the process when you are, now you said you plan daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. Are you planning in your head, or is this a formal process? Do you involve your team? How does that look?
So very much a formal process in that I use a project management system, Asana. And so we'll just kind of start with the annual planning. That started actually back in September. Mm-hmm. And we started with what you were describing as what are the big chunks. So I started as a business owner. What are the big chunks that I want to accomplish for the year? And part of that process was first looking at what did I accomplish for the year? What did I, already, and how can I build on that? Mm-hmm. Then I had, so that literally became a task for me in my project management system that I needed to do that. And I needed to write it out. And I attend an annual conference of digital masterminds. So these are agency owners all over the United States. And so that's really, and it's in October in the beginning. That's kind of a bouncing point of
Oh,
listening to what are other agency owners doing and how can I incorporate that into my business plan.
nice. What is it
But
called?
then it's called Digital Masterminds.
Oh yeah,
It's
I've heard of that. Yep. Yep.
awesome. But I then assign tasks to my people and I have them do the same process of, what did they accomplish this year and what are they looking to accomplish for the next year? And that can be personal, that can be for the company, that can be wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Then I review those and I marry that between my goals and their goals. And then that gets developed into specific dates of when are we going to do this, this, and that. And then it gets broken down into specific tasks within that. That is like a monthly or a weekly thing that we are looking at. That's the annual. The quarterly is kind of broken down from the annual that, okay, what do I want to out of that annual do within the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter? Then that gets broken down into the months. And then probably not the weeks. The weeks are more of planned based on what I accomplished the previous week. Okay, I got this done, and what do I need to do this week? And the dailies kind of get planned just a smaller, minute based on those weekly goals that we're looking at.
Yeah.
But it's all in a project management system, because if you don't assign yourself a task, where's the accountability that you're going to actually do what you said you're going to do? And if you're looking at those tasks and they're just consistently sitting behind, you start to realize that, okay, maybe I bit off more than I can chew. And then maybe, so I only got this much done this quarter. So part of what I was going to do in quarter one now needs to relay over to quarter two. Now quarter four just pushed over to the next quarter. So
Gotcha.
fairly systematic.
Yeah. And
But
it's
I'm a
something you're
planner.
iterating on. Yeah. Yeah, you sound like it. No,
I don't go anywhere without plan A, B, and C.
yeah, I love planning it, but I don't think I'm as structured as you are. Like we'll use Trello and I'll throw things in there, but it's very easy for me to not see it, not look at it. That was a loud ding in my ear.
That has to come part of your, so we do weekly one-on-ones and we review tasks every week with what got done, what needs to get done. And so that's part of a schedule and a consistency that we're holding ourselves accountable by looking at our task on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, we certainly do that on a very, I don't look at it as much as, I guess, as planning. But I'm in fact doing one-on-ones right now with my team and for the end of the year. But I do actually one-on-ones probably on a quarterly basis. But then we do weekly meetings, which I guess are technically one-on-ones, but it's a check-in to see.
Team meetings or?
Individual meetings. Yeah. So I guess it's still one-on-ones.
Yeah, those are one-on-ones. I would call them one-on-ones.
Yeah, because we're all kind of work on different things. Each of my team members they're assigned to different clients or working on. I have one person that just does the maintenance on sites. Right. Another person, she just works with one company doing stuff for them, front end stuff. So
do you pull them all together so they can see the bigger picture ever?
That's what I'm trying to do right now. Yeah. Well, I do give them an update. I try to pull them into the larger vision. Like this year, like this summer, I remember doing that. And when we were at a certain stage this year and I said, this is what we need to do the rest of the year as a team. This is our focus. So I try to do that as well. The other thing we do too, though, in like Trello, on a daily basis, so I can always see where they're at and what's being worked on. On a daily basis, I get daily updates in like a Trello card, where they bullet point what they did and if there's any roadblocks. So I've become, actually, my role in my agency has basically transformed this year as well, where I've become more of a project manager, account manager, everything.
Same.
So every day I'm assessing what people are doing and reviewing work, and
we're working on the
assigning,
business, not in the business.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm doing it. I mean, I still help out. The stuff that I do at this stage, I fill in the blanks, or if I need something really fast or whatever, I jump in there and do it.
So you're planning.
So I am planning.
It's not called that. Like, I mean, you're not calling it that, but you're planning, because if you're looking at everything that's getting done, then you're planning what needs to happen next or what needs to go over here. So you're doing daily planning, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I have a Scrum background, so I kind of use that as a framework on a lot of stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
And so I do planning. I guess I think of things as, I think there's, the daily planning is in terms of projects and clients and the actual work. But then I also like what I do right now is, and how I think about it at the end of like the year is, now I'm looking at the business, like more of a higher level. Okay, I know everybody's doing stuff and we're rocking and rolling. Are we going in the right direction? Are there any problems? And what do we want to do new next year? Like you said, or what do we want to ignore and not do?
Yeah.
So
how do you get out of the daily of looking at and don't forget the bigger nuggets that you wanted to accomplish and getting that down daily? Because sometimes we get into the daily and we're letting it run us instead of like, okay, like, we need to step back because these are the things we want to accomplish.
I mean, you have to make that time. I think it's just got to be this really, really conscious. Where was I just?
It's hard, isn't it?
I might have just talked about this on my last solo episode, where no matter what's going on, how busy you are, and how many projects you got going, what your team's all doing, you have to spend the time, work on your business and think about your business and plan the business. And in like weekends, a lot of people, work weekends, or, if you're working for yourself and stuff, you're working weekends. But I talked to somebody not that long ago and they're like, yeah, I work on, client stuff on the weekends. I'm like, that's what I don't do. Like, when I do stuff on the weekends, usually it's working on my business and what we're doing, or working on the podcast or something else that's moving us forward. So, I
like the weekend work. Like, I don't feel like it's a bad thing. Like, it allows me to have that time to plan and to have less distractions. During the week, a lot of times we're getting fires, I feel like, thrown at us, and, that planning is harder to do. But on the weekends, like, I can actually stop and think. And so
exactly.
I don't see it as a bad thing. And I think that's a mindset where it's like this employee versus employer that, oh, you're not giving yourself a break by working on the weekends. It's kind of how our brains are designed. Like, we don't know how to turn it off. And like, I mean, you should walk away from time to time, but that's why we're leaders. That's why we're business owners, because we are constantly thinking and planning and strategizing, and because we like it.
Yeah.
We don't.
I look forward to the weekends because everything quiets down. I love waking up Saturday or Sunday mornings or whatever and just, thinking about the business or thinking about some strategy or what we're doing. And I mean, not everyone can relate. But the thing about it too is it doesn't burn you out. It doesn't burn me out anyway. I guess everyone's built differently, right? But it's different things, like when you're running a business, or an agency, there's so many different things you're doing. I don't feel like I burn out because I'm not just sitting there coding all day, or doing one task every day, all day, and then you burn out. But this is variety.
Yeah, or if you feel burnt out, then take the break.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling energized and you like to do it, then there's nothing wrong with, taking that planning on the weekend where you don't have all that fires coming at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I think this is a great conversation. I think that's kind of the takeaway is, I think we're on the same page. I was curious. At least you didn't throw it out completely. Like, don't plan. Just every day, just show up, and whatever happens, happens.
You'll never hear that from me. I'm a planner.
But I love planning. Sometimes I actually have to stop myself from planning because I loved always the process of starting a business, and because all the planning involved and like, what am I going to do? But so, you can get too far into that and not take any action either. But
yes, that is a big mistake.
Yeah, you don't want to plan too much. You want to actually have an action plan and actually execute on it. But I think the takeaway is that it's okay to do the end of the year reviews, and you should be, but you have to break those down into smaller chunks, smaller rocks. And as the year goes on, you continually, on a monthly, quarterly, adjust.
Be flexible.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe being a little more.
Just do it at the end of the year. Like, planning is something you should always be doing.
Always be doing. I actually got into, and I'll leave it at this, but I was never in the quarterly mindset. I think the quarterly mindset alone helps a lot. Until I worked for a company, Rapid Crush, they had more of a corporate mindset, where every quarter they would think of things on a quarterly basis. And not everyone's on board with that idea, but I like it. That's where I do my, assessment of where we're headed. Are we on the right direction? Do we need to adjust for the next quarter? And then everything from there breaks down to just what you're doing in the months or weeks or whatever, or days. But yeah, good stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me again.
Thanks for coming onto the podcast again. Maybe we can have you again sometime.
There we go.
Yeah. It's crazy. I was actually looking back. You were actually on episode 20. So this is episode 44. So
awesome.
I can't wait to have you on episode 444 someday. So maybe a few years.
Awesome. Right. I love to be there.
Awesome. All right. Well, you have a good rest of the day. Till we meet again.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this podcast or provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, Unified Web Design. That's my agency. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you're interested in our services or looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.